I never thought I would find myself in this position. You know how life goes, right? You hustle through your days thinking everything is fine until suddenly the rug gets pulled out from under you. My name is Jake and I was married to Sarah for 3 years. You could say we were a picture-perfect couple, at least that's what everyone else thought. I always believed that love was straightforward, that if you put in the effort it would be reciprocated. But clearly I was wrong. It all started with the little things. Sarah, who used to be all about spending weekends together, suddenly had work commitments. I noticed she was more involved with her phone during dinner, tapping away at messages while I ate. Then came the late nights at the office. She tell me she was attending meetings or finishing up projects. At first I was understanding, even supportive. "You're doing great, babe," I would say, encouraging her to climb the corporate ladder. But that understanding turned into a gnawing feeling in my gut. Something just felt off. One Thursday evening, as I sat watching TV in our living room, her phone buzzed on the coffee table. I often respected her privacy, but something compelled me to glance at the screen. The name that flashed was Jake, just Jake. No last name. My heart raced. I could feel the heat rising to my face. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but who the hell was this Jake? I decided to play it cool, figuring I'd confront her later when I had more evidence. That Saturday, I planned a surprise dinner for us. I wanted to remind her that we were still a couple, despite her busy schedule. I went all out, cooked her favorite meal, lit candles, and poured some wine. I waited for her to walk through the door, but she was 2 hours late. When she finally arrived, she reeked of cheap cologne. I gave her a knowing look, but she brushed it off, claiming she bumped into some colleagues who wanted to grab a drink. But I was tired of the lies, tired of the excuses. I knew I had to confront her. After dinner, I sat her down. "Sarah, can we talk?" I asked, my heart racing, adrenaline coursing through me. She looked surprised, but I pushed forward, trying to sound calm. "I saw a message on your phone. Who is Jake?" Her eyes widened and her usual confidence faltered. "What, who?" she stammered, and I could see her trying to come up with a lie, her mind racing. "Oh, just a coworker. I told you about him." "Really? Because I don't remember you mentioning any Jake." My voice was steady, but inside I was a storm. Sarah then launched into a tale, weaving excuses almost like a web, claiming he was just a friend, someone she consulted for work advice. But I wasn't buying it. I felt the anger welling up in me, but I kept it bottled, wanting to hear her out. I demanded more answers, more details, but all I got were half-hearted explanations and blatant contradictions. It was a mess of lies that painted a picture I wasn't ready to see. The emotional impact hit me like a freight train. I went from confusion to disbelief, then to a rage that felt foreign. I couldn't understand how the woman I loved could look me in the eyes and lie. My world felt like it was crumbling. I had trusted her, and now I felt like a fool. The love I thought was solid was suddenly nothing but a facade. I remember sitting on the couch, staring blankly into space, trying to process everything. I felt betrayed, angry, and utterly lost. With the reality of her infidelity crashing down around me, I began to think of the next steps. What would I do? How could I even look at her again? I didn't sleep that night. I tossed and turned, the betrayal swirling in my mind like an unending nightmare. Sarah was next to me, breathing softly, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing inside me. I kept replaying the conversation over and over, trying to make sense of her excuses. The more I thought about it, the more infuriated I became. Each lie she told felt like a dagger, stabbing me deeper. By morning, I was a mess, exhausted, angry, and heartbroken. I needed clarity. I decided to dig deeper. I grabbed my laptop and began to search for signs, for any evidence that could confirm what I feared most. I searched social media, checking her accounts, but she had locked them down tighter than Fort Knox. I had to be more clever about it. I waited until she left for what she claimed was an early morning workout. I had about an hour before she returned, and I knew I had to act fast. I went straight to her phone, which she had carelessly left on the kitchen counter. I felt like a criminal, but I was desperate for the truth. I unlocked it using her birthday, something she should have known better than to use. The first thing I did was check her messages. There was Jake, and the conversations weren't innocent work-related chats. They were full of flirtation and innuendo. My heart sank as I scrolled through their exchanges, each word twisting the knife deeper. They talked about meeting up, about their secret conversations that had nothing to do with work. I felt sick. This wasn't just a crush, it was an affair. My stomach churned as I read their discussions about sneaking away for a night together. I knew I had to confront her again, but this time I would have the evidence. I had to think about how to approach it. I was seething inside, ready to explode. I decided to give her the day to think about her lies, to let her enjoy her workout, and to work on my next move. But I couldn't just sit around and do nothing. I needed a plan. As the day dragged on, I thought about the revenge I wanted. I could just confront her and demand she leave, but that didn't feel like enough. I didn't just want her to feel guilty. I wanted her to understand the weight of her betrayal. I wanted her to realize what she lost. That evening, after she returned, I acted normal. I greeted her with a smile, though it felt like I was wearing a mask. I had to keep my composure. She seemed oblivious, chatting about her day while I was planning my next move. I decided to give her a taste of her own medicine. I would play it cool, act as if nothing was wrong, and let her believe that I was none the wiser. I began to side-eye my own social life, reaching out to friends I hadn't seen in a while. I would go out, have fun, and let her see that I could be just as carefree. I needed to get her comfortable, to lower her guard. If I played my cards right, I would catch her off guard, and then I would strike. A few days went by like this. I went out for drinks with friends, and every time Sarah would ask where I was, I would casually tell her I was just hanging out, nothing serious. I wanted her to think I was having a blast without her. Little did she know, I was gathering my strength for the confrontation that would come. But the more I played this game, the more I realized how much I was changing. I was distancing myself from her, from the love we once had. Each day felt like a battle, and I found myself becoming more determined to dismantle the illusion she had built around our marriage. I was no longer the passive husband. I was becoming something else entirely. As the weekend approached, I decided it was time to execute my plan. I would set up a surprise for her, something that would reveal her deception in a way she wouldn't see coming. I was ready for the confrontation to end all confrontations. I wanted her to see that I wasn't just going to roll over and accept her lies. I would be ready, and I would make sure she understood exactly what she had lost. I spent Friday night preparing. I gathered everything I had found, screenshots of messages, a list of the times she lied about her whereabouts, and a few of her favorite things that I planned to use as leverage. I wanted to make sure that when the truth came crashing down, it would be impossible for her to deny the reality of what she had done. She would have nowhere to hide. As I lay in bed that night, anticipation coursing through me, I realized I wouldn't walk away from this the same person I was before. The betrayal had changed me, and I was ready to embrace whatever came next. I was done being the fool. I was ready to reclaim my life. The next day, I woke up with a sense of purpose. Saturday was the day I had been waiting for. I could feel the tension in the air as if it was charged with electricity. Sarah was still in bed, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing just beneath the surface. I took a moment to collect my thoughts. This was going to be the moment that changed everything. I decided to keep it casual for the morning. I prepared breakfast, nothing fancy, just scrambled eggs and toast, but I wanted it to feel normal. As I set the table, I could hear her stirring in the bedroom. I put on a smile as she entered the kitchen, her hair tousled and her face still soft with sleep. She thanked me for breakfast and sat down, completely unaware that today would be anything but ordinary. After we finished eating, I suggested a walk at the nearby park. I thought it would be a good idea to get some fresh air and have a conversation without the distractions of home. As we strolled under the canopy of trees, I kept stealing glances at her, trying to gauge her mood. She seemed relaxed and happy, completely in the dark about what was about to come crashing down on her. When we found a secluded bench, I felt a surge of adrenaline. "Sarah, we need to talk," I said, attempting to keep my voice steady. The moment those words left my mouth, I could see her smile fade a little. She nodded, looking concerned. "Is everything okay?" she asked, her voice laced with uncertainty. "I don't know, is everything okay?" I replied, keeping my tone measured. "There's been something bothering me, something I've discovered." She swallowed hard but didn't respond. I could see the wheels turning in her mind, and I knew she was trying to anticipate what I was about to say. I decided it was time to lay it all out. I took a deep breath and confronted her with everything. "Who is Jake?" I asked, my voice firm. "I saw the messages, Sarah. I know about the affair." Her face blanched as if the blood had drained from it. For a brief moment she looked stunned, and then the mask of denial and indignation slipped into place. "What are you talking about? You're being ridiculous," she snapped, trying to regain control. I felt my heart race, but I kept my composure. "Ridiculous? You think it's ridiculous? I have proof." I pulled out my phone and opened the screenshots, handing it to her. "Read it. Tell me it's not what it looks like." She took the phone and began to scroll through the messages. Her expression shifted from confusion to anger. "This is twisted. You're invading my privacy," she shouted, her voice rising. "Invading your privacy." I shot back, the anger bubbling to the surface. "You're the one who betrayed my trust. You've lied to my face for months." I could feel the tension between us reaching a boiling point as she continued to read. I watched as the color drained from her cheeks, her bravado faltering with each line. "This isn't what it looks like," she finally said, her voice shaky. "Jake is just a friend. I swear nothing happened. Just a friend." I interrupted, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "Do friends talk about meeting up for a night together? Do friends send flirty messages to each other like this? Spare me your excuses, Sarah." Her eyes darted around as if searching for an escape route, but there was nowhere to hide. I had her right where I wanted her, caught in the web of her own lies. She began to blubber, trying to form coherent sentences. "I didn't mean for it to get out of hand. It was just, I didn't think you'd find out." "Of course you didn't think," I said, my frustration bubbling over. "You thought you could have your cake and eat it too. This wasn't just a mistake, Sarah. This was a choice. You chose to betray me." The confrontation escalated as she tried to dig deeper into her pile of excuses, claiming she felt neglected, that I was too focused on work, that she didn't feel loved. It was a sad attempt to shift the blame onto me. I could feel the rage seeping through my veins as I listened to her excuses. "I can't believe this. You think I neglected you? I've worked hard to provide for us." My voice cracked with emotion. "I thought we were in this together. Maybe I just needed something more exciting." She shot back, anger flashing in her eyes. "You don't know what it's like to feel trapped in a mundane life." "Trapped? You made a choice to cheat, Sarah. You chose to seek excitement outside our marriage." I could feel the tears stinging my eyes, but I wouldn't let them fall. I was furious, heartbroken, and devastated all at once. I was done playing her game. I stood up, my fists clenching. "I can't do this anymore. You've shattered everything we built together. I don't know how you expect me to move forward after this." "Jake, please," she pleaded, her voice softening as she realized the gravity of her actions. But I was done. I had confronted her with the truth, and I was ready to take the next steps. I needed to find my own path now. I could no longer be tethered to a relationship built on lies. My heart ached, but I felt a sense of clarity wash over me. As I walked away from that bench, I knew life would never be the same. I was standing on the precipice of a new beginning, and while it terrified me, I also felt a sense of freedom. It was time to reclaim my life and my happiness, no matter how daunting that journey might be. The drive home was a blur. I felt as if I were floating outside my body, watching myself go through the motions. I wanted to scream, to cry, to do something to release the pent-up rage and heartache swirling inside me. But the reality was that I was alone in the car, the silence echoing my thoughts. The betrayal weighed heavily on my heart, but as I gripped the steering wheel, I realized that I wouldn't let it define me. When I arrived home, Sarah was still sitting on the bench in the park, likely processing the confrontation. Part of me wanted to just leave, to pack a bag and disappear for a while, but I knew I had to face the reality of our situation. I had to confront her one last time. I found myself pacing around the house, the walls feeling like they were closing in on me. Eventually, she came through the front door, her eyes red and puffy from crying. She looked vulnerable, but I couldn't feel sorry for her, not yet. "Jake," she said softly, her voice cracking. "I'm so sorry. I thought I could fix this. I'll do anything to make it right." "Anything?" I snapped, my patience wearing thin. "You've already shown me exactly how little our marriage meant to you. You had a choice, Sarah. You chose him." "I know, I messed up. I never meant to hurt you." She pleaded, desperation lacing her words. Can't we just talk about this? Can't we figure it out together? I shook my head, feeling the weight of my decision pressing down on me. What's there to figure out? You betrayed my trust. You were supposed to be my partner, my confidant, and instead you were sleeping with someone else. You've made it clear how you feel about our marriage. But I do love you, she insisted, stepping closer. I do, I got caught up in the moment. It was a mistake. A mistake, I echoed, incredulous. You don't just stumble into an affair, Sarah. That's a choice you made time and time again. You can't just wave a magic wand and make it disappear. I know it sounds bad, but I was looking for something, someone who makes me feel alive again. I thought you didn't care. Her voice rose in pitch, and I could see the anger bubbling back to the surface. It doesn't matter what you thought. You don't just go off and find something outside of your marriage. If you felt something was wrong, you should have talked to me. You should have come to me instead of sneaking around behind my back. She looked down, her face a mask of regret, but I could tell she was still searching for a way to shift the blame. I didn't want to hurt you, she stumbled. It got out of hand and I didn't know how to stop it. That's the problem, I said coldly. You didn't want to stop it because you were too busy enjoying your lies. You never thought about what it would do to me. She took a step back, visibly shaken. So what happens now? Are we just done? Paused, weighing my next words carefully. I can't continue to live like this. Trust is everything in a marriage, and you've destroyed that. I need time to think about if we can move past this. I could see the realization wash over her, the fear of losing everything slapping her in the face. Jake, please, I'll do anything to work on this. I can change, I swear. But I was already tired of her empty promises. It's not just about changing. I need to figure out if I even want to be in this marriage anymore. You need to understand that you've shattered everything we built together. The frustration was palpable. I turned to walk away, needing space to breathe, to think. As I walked into the bedroom, I could hear her sobbing softly behind me. It broke my heart, but I couldn't let myself feel sympathy yet. I felt too raw, too exposed. I grabbed my phone and called my brother, Mike. He always had a way of grounding me. Hey man, can you come over? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Sure, what's up? I need to talk, it's important. Okay, I'll be there in 20, he said, sensing the urgency in my voice. Once I hung up, I leaned against the wall, feeling the walls of my life crashing around me. I couldn't believe I was in this position. This wasn't how I thought my life would go, caught in a web of deceit, grappling with a crumbling marriage. When Mike arrived, I poured out everything, the confrontation, the lies, the betrayal. He listened intently, his expression serious. Dude, that's brutal. I can't believe she did that to you. I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to fight for what we had, but the other part feels like I'd just be wasting my time, I confessed, feeling vulnerable. Understandable. You have to do what's best for you. It's tough, but you'll figure it out. You deserve better than this, he replied, placing a hand on my shoulder. I took a deep breath, feeling a bit of relief in sharing my pain with someone who cared. I just don't want to make the wrong choice. I want to be sure. You'll figure it out, man. Just take your time. Don't rush into anything you're not ready for, he advised. As we talked, I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe I could reclaim my life after all. But for now, I needed to process everything I was feeling. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but I was ready to face it. I had to take control of my life and make choices that would lead me toward healing. It was time to think about my own happiness, even if it meant leaving Sarah behind. The days following the confrontation were a whirlwind of emotions. I felt like I was moving through thick fog, unsure of where I was heading. Sarah kept reaching out, trying to talk, trying to fix things, but I was still too raw to engage with her. I needed space to think, to breathe, and to figure out what I wanted, not what she wanted. I took time off work, telling my boss I needed a personal leave. I couldn't focus on anything except the disarray my life had become. I spent hours just walking around the city, letting my thoughts drift. My mind often wandered back to the good times with Sarah, the laughter, the late-night talks, the dreams we shared. But those memories felt tainted now, overshadowed by the betrayal that had shattered everything. One evening, I found myself sitting at a bar, nursing a drink and watching the world go by. I overheard a couple at the next table laughing together, and it hit me. How did it all go so wrong? How could someone I thought I knew so well become a stranger? A wave of sadness washed over me, but it was quickly replaced by a simmering anger. I didn't want to dwell on the past. I wanted to move forward, but the way forward felt bleak and uncertain. That's when I decided to consult a therapist. I needed to untangle the mess in my head and heart, but I also wanted to understand the bigger picture. I needed to know why I had allowed myself to be deceived for so long. I scheduled an appointment for the following week, hoping it would provide some clarity. In the meantime, I kept my distance from Sarah. I didn't answer her calls or texts. I felt guilty for ignoring her, but I knew that I couldn't engage with her while I was so emotionally charged. I needed to keep my focus on myself for once. Then came the day I finally decided to confront her one last time. It was a Saturday morning, and I knew she would be at home. I had thought long and hard about this moment, weighing the pros and cons of what I wanted to say. I was determined to be clear about my feelings and my decision. As I walked up to the front door, my heart raced. I took a deep breath and knocked. Sarah opened the door, her face lighting up with a mixture of hope and fear. "Jake." She breathed, her eyes searching mine. "Can we talk?" I asked, my voice steady. She nodded and stepped aside, allowing me in. The atmosphere in the room was thick with tension, each of us aware of the gravity of the conversation we were about to have. I motioned for her to sit down, and I took a seat across from her. "I've spent a lot of time thinking about us, about our marriage and what's happened. I know I messed up," she interjected, her voice shaky, "but I want to change. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make this work." "Sarah, listen," I said, trying to maintain my composure. "I've heard that before. I've listened to your promises since that day in the park, but I need to be clear. Trust is not something you can just rebuild overnight. It takes time, and I don't know if I can go through that process with you." She looked down, and for a moment I thought I saw genuine remorse in her eyes. "But I love you, Jake. I want to fix what I broke. I'll go to therapy, I'll make changes. Just give me a chance." I felt a pang of sorrow at her words, but I couldn't let myself be swayed. "You love me, but love isn't enough to erase the pain you've caused. I need to take care of myself first. I need to find out who I am outside of this marriage." "What does that mean? Are you saying you want a divorce?" she asked, her voice trembling. I hesitated, the weight of the word heavy in the air between us. "I think that's where I'm heading. I need to be honest with myself and with you. I can't stay in a relationship where I feel betrayed." Her face crumpled in anguish as the reality of my words sank in. "Please don't say that. We can work through this together. I can prove to you that I've changed." I shook my head, my heart breaking for the person I used to know. "You're not the only one who needs to change. I need to reclaim my own life, my own happiness. I can't keep living in this shadow of doubt and betrayal." Tears streamed down her face, and I felt an overwhelming mix of sadness and relief. I wanted to comfort her, but I knew that would only make things more complicated. "I'm sorry, Sarah, I really am, but I have to do what's best for me." With those final words, I stood up, feeling a sense of finality wash over me. I walked toward the door, pausing for a moment to glance back. "I hope you find what you're looking for, but I can't be part of this anymore." As I stepped outside, the weight lifted slightly from my shoulders. I felt as if I had finally taken control of my life again. The emotional turmoil was still there, but I knew I had made the right decision for myself. In the days that followed, I focused on healing. I started going to therapy, and it helped me process not only the betrayal but also my feelings of inadequacy. I learned to set boundaries, to prioritize my own needs, and to embrace the process of self-discovery. While the road ahead was still uncertain, I felt a sense of empowerment growing within me. I knew that while I had been hurt, I wasn't broken. I was on the path to reclaiming my life, one step at a time. As painful as it had been, I was ready to embrace a new beginning. I was ready to find out who I was outside of Sarah's shadow. The weeks turned into months as I focused on rebuilding my life. Therapy became a cornerstone of my routine, providing me with the tools I needed to understand my emotions and reclaim my self-worth. I poured my energy into self-care, hitting the gym, rediscovering old hobbies, and spending time with friends who reminded me that I was loved and valued. Slowly but surely, the fog of anguish that had enveloped me began to lift. I learned a lot about myself during this time. I realized how much I had sacrificed in the name of love, how I had neglected my own needs, my own desires, all while trying to keep the peace in my marriage. It was a painful realization, but it was also liberating. I was beginning to understand that love shouldn't come at the cost of my happiness. Eventually, the decision to file for divorce became clear. I met with a lawyer and discussed the logistics, what it would entail, how to navigate this new chapter. The thought of officially ending my marriage felt both daunting and freeing. I knew it was the right step, even though it was one of the hardest things I had ever done. When I finally filed the paperwork, a wave of relief washed over me. It felt like I was shedding a heavy weight that had long been dragging me down. I made the decision to send Sarah an email, letting her know what had happened. I wanted to approach it with compassion, but I also needed to be firm about my decision. Sarah, I wrote, I hope you're doing well. I wanted to let you know that I've filed for divorce. This isn't an easy decision for me, but it's one I've thought long and hard about. I wish you all the best in finding happiness. Take care, Jake. After hitting send, I felt a mix of emotions, relief, sadness, fear, and even a hint of excitement. I knew my life was about to change drastically, but for the first time in a long time, I felt in control. The weeks that followed were a blur of legal meetings, paperwork, and emotional ups and downs. Sarah reached out multiple times, asking to talk, to meet, to discuss our relationship, but I remained firm in my resolve. I had to protect my heart, my sanity. I had to keep moving forward. One day, as I was out for a run in my favorite park, I ran into an old friend from college, Emily. We chatted for a while, catching up on life. There was an instant connection, a warmth and familiarity that felt refreshing. As we talked, I found myself laughing again, fully engaged, and realizing that I had missed this feeling of connection. We exchanged numbers and started hanging out more. It was a slow and gradual process, but it felt good to open myself up to the possibility of new friendships and connections. I was still healing, still processing everything that had happened, but the way Emily made me feel was a welcome distraction. As the divorce proceedings progressed, I found moments of clarity and peace. I began to understand that my worth wasn't tied to my marriage or to Sarah's choices. I was capable of building a fulfilling life on my own. I could pursue my interests, travel, and even love again when I was ready. The finalization of the divorce was bittersweet. On one hand, I was closing a chapter that had brought me years of joy and love. On the other, it was the end of a dream I had cherished. But as I stood in the lawyer's office, signing the last document, I felt a sense of closure wash over me. I was ready to embrace the unknown, ready to forge a new path. In the aftermath of everything, I reflected on the lessons learned. Betrayal can cut deep, but it can also be a catalyst for growth. I realized that I deserved honesty, love, and respect, everything I had wanted in my marriage. I understood now that relationships should lift you up, not hold you back. I don't know what the future holds. I know I still have healing to do and lessons to learn, but I also know that I am stronger than I was before. I have the power to choose my happiness, and that is a gift I won't take for granted again. As I stepped out into the sunshine that day, I felt a renewed sense of hope rising within me. I was ready to write the next chapter of my life. Chapter filled with possibility, self-discovery, and perhaps even love again when the time was right. I was finally free to be me.